right, everyone. Let's see if we're getting live here. Looks like we're getting to that point. Morning, everyone. Make sure this gets onto the certain platforms. Last week, this didn't get me onto Twitter properly. So I'm going to see if people join me. I'll try to ask those questions. If somebody who's in the room can just let me know if you are seeing this on Twitter and there's not a problem. Otherwise, I'm going to go back to my phone. Daily. All right. Good. Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate that, man. Glad you're here. Good to see you. Let's see here. Definitely appreciate it. Good. I'm on Twitter. Excellent. Excellent. Hey, Scott. Hey, Thomas. Good to see you guys. Been a rough week for me. Won't talk about that, but I'm here. Can answer questions. Been hard to reach this week, but I've tried to answer as many as I can. Go ahead. Norvell. Good to see you, man. Glad you're here. Also Facebook. Anybody has questions, go ahead and ask those. Twitter's good. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Randy, good to see you as well, man. All right. Excellent. I'm glad. Last week, not so good. I don't know what the restream problem was. Christian, good to see you, man. Mingo, all right. Glad you're here. Let's get some good questions going here. We got some inactives coming out. Thomas, thank you, man. Yeah, football definitely helps thing. And yep, appreciate it, guys. All right. Tannehill. It looks like Tannehill or Brady. Must be doing some voice recognition there. You know what? I think Brady's going to throw 4 or 5 touchdowns today because Minnesota, they have to scheme pressure. And the problem is when they scheme pressure, they don't have good corners. The Kings Classic. All right, Kurt. Anyway, so I really think they're going to get the offense right coming out of their bye. And they deactivated Fournette, which interesting there. But I do think they're going to pass heavy today. And so I think Tannehill's risky because Henry, I know he went 25 for 84 against them last time, but the Jags are down like 6 of their 7 guys from that game. It's a Henry day. Tannehill gets you a floor. I think Brady's got massive ceiling here. All right, Kurt. Lindsey or you know what? I'm going Colin Johnson. Colin Johnson's had 2 good games in a row. He had like a 4 for 66. He had a touchdown the other better yardage and a touchdown. He's like prototype number 1 receiver size. I know Henry shortens the game by running the ball. I get that. But I definitely think Colin Johnson's going to play. Lindsey is too risky to go. Colin Johnson's going to see targets. They're going to trail. And the corners, he'll probably see a lot of Malcolm Butler. Malcolm Butler's 5'11". I want to say Colin Johnson, top of my head, 6'5", 222. I think it's a massive mismatch. All right. Josh Jacobs, here we go with Deontay Johnson. All right. Deontay Johnson is your safe play. He gets double-digit targets every game. Every game he started and finished, he has it. So you want that safe floor, you go there. I don't know how high Jacobs' ceiling actually is. So I'd probably say Johnson across the board. Jacobs always has the chance to punch in a couple short touchdowns. He hasn't done that much this year. Fantasy playoffs, the way it's gone all year, the safety of Deontay is there. Again, I don't think Jacobs has crazy upside, so I tend to lean Deontay there. Hurst, Colin Johnson, or AP? Well, DeAndre Swift, hey, half up water boy. So DeAndre Swift's active. I don't think Peterson has much of a role. I think he's healthy, and Swift is going to probably get most of the work, and they're going to trail on this game. And if they trail, they need the passing down back, not AP. Hurst, it's small sample size, but in the games Julio hasn't played, he has not done well. They, for whatever reason, the whole offense takes a hit, and they're down with 2 offensive linemen this game. The right tackle's down, and the left guard is down. I think Hurst is going to have to block a lot this week. I'm going to go with Colin Johnson for those reasons. I think he's going to get targets. Christian, Brady, or Watson. You know what? Watson's without Brandon Cooks now. All he has is Chad Hansen, who had that game last week. Believe me, he's been in the league for a while. He's not going to beat the Bears, and Kute's going to get some yardage. I just don't think Watson has enough targets to beat the Bears. And so I'm going to say I think Brady is having a huge game today. I don't think Minnesota has a chance to slow him down at all. Montgomery, yeah, Montgomery's a must today. And Houston, they've given up like 60-plus receiving yards to running backs 3 weeks in a row, and he is getting targets. Man, Montgomery is seeing targets. And I hated that he lost 10 carries to Cordero Patterson last week, but Montgomery still plays about 85% of the snaps. He is a must start today, yes, unless you have something crazy, but yes. Randy, half PPR, 2 receivers in a flex. Miles Sanders, Gio, McLaurin, Juju. Hey, yeah, you do have a all right, so what I'll tell you is this. Juju's going to get his targets. He's going to get 6 to 10 targets, probably closer to the 8 to 10 mark. So he's kind of near floor guys there. So if you want some safety there, he's one to look at. McLaurin's kind of in the same deal. He doesn't have a good matchup here, but they move him in the slot enough, and he gets the ball. not a ton of upside. He's going to see Jason Verrett and Richard Sherman, depending what side he's on. So I don't think it's a big upside game. Those are kind of your floor guys. Gio, I'm not really trusting right now. Dallas, not a great defense. They're bad, but I think they can stop Gio Bernard. And I think that's not a problem for them. I think they could slow in. Bernard hasn't played well. Miles Sanders is scary. Having the mobile quarterback Hurts could open up room for him, but Sanders has only seen like 60% snap share. That's problematic. So I'm worried about that. So I get an AB only had 3 targets in the last game. I wonder if they're starting to get away from him. So all in all, you want to swing for defense and upside. Perryman is a great play today. Mims is out. Crowder's limited with a hammy. And they're going to be trailing, and Perryman has gotten targets when there have been opportunity. And he is a very talented player. I think he's your upset play. Hilton is scary. Hilton was terrible all year. He had garbage time 2 weeks ago. He had a big game last week. So he's kind of your boom bust there as well. And the free safety that he's opposing is out, which means if he runs anything downfield, the over-the-top coverage is missing. So you want safety. I'm going to say go with McLaurin. You need 3 of them. McLaurin and Juju are your safe plays. I think your boom bust guys are Hilton and Perryman. Now you need one more player. Miles Sanders, I still think he's facing a bad defense, but he's got a mobile quarterback. I think Miles Sanders is that player who has some volatility to him, but I think he gets enough touches, and I think they're going to be like different than what we've seen with Carson Wentz. I think Miles Sanders is sneaky, but I'm leaving Gio out, and I'm concerned about AB's usage. So that's how. If you want to narrow that down me further, narrow it down. That's the best breakdown I can give you on those. Norvell, Tannehill, or Taysom. So it was a weird game against Denver 2 weeks ago, but Taysom finally played a good defense, and it didn't look so good. I think this week Philly is playing at an elite level on defense the last few weeks. I think they're really going to give Taysom a lot of problems here. Tannehill is safe. Tannehill might not get a big yardage day because Henry's going to run well, but I think he gets you 2 touchdowns. Now, Taysom's going to run for 40 yards. That's going to happen. So Taysom they both have a good floor. I think Tannehill has an equal floor this week, but I think Tannehill this week could have a better ceiling because I think Taysom's in trouble this week. I don't think there's a good Taysom Hill game. All right. Jan. All right. Need 1 flex in 1 half PPR. Mostert, Sanders, Deandre Washington, I'm assuming, AB, Hilton, and Gabriel Davis. Okay, so here's what we're looking at here. Mostert, I know the matchup against Washington at taper doesn't look good. He's only gotten 40 to 44% of the snaps the last 2 weeks. But that zone running scheme is the type of one that would work against Washington. So I think Mostert is actually in a good spot. I just talked about Miles Sanders, but I think Mostert is a better play than Sanders here because I think that run scheme is going to work quite well there. Now, let me look at the other players. So Washington. So Deandre Washington is not a bad play. Kansas City's going to give up production. They have Patrick Laird, but I don't think he's a big factor. Washington can run. He can catch. I think he is a very safe play this week. I have to use him in 1 playoff game, and I'm not really upset about that. So I say Mostert and Washington are the 2 guys I favor here. AB, I didn't like his targets 2 weeks ago. He had 3 targets before the bye. I think they're getting the big guns back in there, and I think he's going to kind of see 6 or 7, but he hasn't been a big play guy yet. If you need to go boom bust, that would be Hilton. Hilton has that low floor, but last week he came out of nowhere with it, and he had garbage time 2 weeks ago. So Hilton's in the equation. But if I'm on this season's on the line, I'm going with Mostert. And then again, if I want floor, I'm going Washington. If I want ceiling, I'm going Hilton. Conan, Murray, or Tannehill. You know what? Total opinion. I think Kyler Murray is worried with the shoulder. I don't think they're going to run him a lot right now. And I think that's problematic because if he doesn't run, his fantasy value is tanked. Tannehill is safe. I think fantasy playoffs, Murray hasn't been good the last couple of weeks because of the shoulder. And if he can't drive the ball downfield, that's problematic as well. So I'm going to say Tannehill is your safer play. If you have to swing for the fence, I think there's a big Derrick Henry day. So if you have to swing for the fence and you think you need a massive game out of your quarterback, you roll the dice with Murray. But if you want to save 15 or so points, Conan, I think you're going Tannehill. Dan, all right, you're down 41. All right, you lost Gaskin. You're playing against Cook and Hill. Okay, you have Mahomes, Robinson, Adams, and so some hope is left. So you definitely do. And Adams and Robinson should come up big. Both corners are down for Houston, so you're looking good there. So that'll definitely help you out. I think you go with this. I think Mostert and Washington. And Mostert, I think, could break a long run or two today. I think that's the way I'm going to go with that. I think that gives you the combo of some floor, but it gives you some ceiling as well. All right, let's head back here a minute and let's see what we got here. All right, let's see. Thomas, TD Heaven scoring, Akins or Jonnu. You know what? Akins has seen some red zone work. The Bears are bad against the tight end. They haven't thrown him the ball much. His targets have been horrible. Jonnu's kind of the same. He had 3 6-target games, then he disappeared, and then he got hurt. It's a tough call here. It's a tough call. I really don't know where to go on that one. You know what? Jonnu is more likely to see if they get in the red zone, they'll run Jonnu, they'll throw him the ball sometimes. I think Jonnu is more probable to score a touchdown than Akins. That lack of usage for Akins bothers me. Randy, Watson or Taysom Hill? Bears have been sliding on defense, but it's only Kiki Kute. That's all they've got. And Watson's not that guy who's going to run for 100 yards. He can run for 30, 40. You know what? I don't think Taysom's in a great spot, but he's going to get more rushing yardage. He's got a bad matchup. It's really hard to sit Watson, but I do think Taysom's probably the better play here this week. That's a really tough circumstance for Watson without his top 2 receivers. All right, let's see what else you got here. Roman, for your flex, you need to decide between Curtis or Debo. I need you to come back on that one or give me Curtis or Debo. That's going to be real important. Then I'll come back to your question. All right. And Scott, Chark, Ebron, or Ronald Jones. So middle linebacker Kendricks is out, which really helps. He's a stud against the run, and he also covers tight ends. That's good for Gronk. So that puts Jones in a good spot here. Ebron has seen 11 targets in the last 2 games. Hasn't done as much as we'd like to have. Chark, man, going to face a tiny cornerback. Adoree Jackson's the side he mostly lines up on. Adoree's out this game. Even if they decided to move Butler's 5'11", and Chark's like 6'4". Chark is your swing for defense guy. You need big points. Chark's your big guy. He's got floor because we don't know his usage week to week. Ronald Jones is your floor guy. You need that safe 8 to 12. I think it's Ronald Jones. You need to get a 20. And he's only done it twice this year, but I think Chark's in that stratosphere for this game. All right, Curtis Samuel. Love Curtis Samuel this week because DJ Moore is out. Curtis has been seeing targets. And, my notes, that game, the guy who would typically cover him on defense, there's injury concerns, and I don't have that right in front of me. Let me just scroll down to see this here. Carolina. I usually memorize all these injuries. But Denver. Denver is down both of their starting cornerbacks. Callahan's on the IR. Bouye got suspended. Curtis Samuel probably has a really big game today. Going back to the rest of your question, though. And so for the flex, Singletary, Claypool is boomer bust, but I think Samuel has a lot of ceiling here. I think Kute is a good play. I really think Curtis Samuel is your best option here because, again, Denver's down those corners. He's getting touches. DJ Moore's out. I don't see how he gets less than 10 touches in this game with maybe 15 if they get him some running attempts. So that's your guy. He's the upside guy. If you need a real stable floor and you can't take any risk, Deandre Washington is a very good no-risk play, 8 to 10 points. But I still think that Curtis Samuel has that floor as well, but he has a lot more ceiling. I think he's a phenomenal play this week. You're welcome, Jan. All right, Roman, good there. All right, let's get back over here now. Thomas, all right, let's see what you got here. TD again, just Juju, Kute, Gio, or Hilton. You know, when Indy gets in the red zone, we don't know who's getting the ball. We don't know if it's the tight ends. We don't know if it's Jonathan Taylor. Hilton's a small guy, but he could potentially get something there. Long touchdowns could help because the free safety's out. That would be over the top coverage for him today. That definitely helps his situation a little bit. Juju, it's kind of the same deal. They have a lot of options in the red zone. They're going to score a couple touchdowns in Houston. Kute right now, the Bears slot corner is out, and he's terrible to start, Buster Screen. And so Kute is going to have a very big mismatch here. I would probably say Kute because Watson will find a way to get them some points, and I think he could be a good opportunity there. All right, let's do it. Roman, all right, man, excellent. Conan, flex, need one. Josh Jacobs, Cole Beasley, DeAndre West. Do I trust Jacobs? And it's always a tough call with Josh Jacobs, right? We don't know if he's 100%, but he's playing. So my guess is he is close to 100%. And so I think that Josh Jacobs is a fine play here. I think ultimately Do I want DeAndre Washington's matchup is good. They're playing Kansas City. Running backs can run against them. There's a chance they keep it somewhat close, but he also is a good receiver. So there's an opportunity there. Indy, the matchup for Josh Jacobs, early in the season, they were really good, but they've been bad the last 5 weeks. They're like bottom 6 or 7 in the league against running backs. So you can definitely do well against them. So I think at this point, Jacobs and Washington are close, but if they get the ball in the red zone, then I think Jacobs has your better chance of scoring a touchdown in here. He will get work. They would deactivate him, I think. They deactivated him before when they felt he wasn't ready. So I think he is ready. I think you got to ride Jacobs here. I think it's too risky. And Beasley, it's really up and down with the targets. I don't see this week as the matchup. Joe Hayden, the outside corner, is out. I think they pushed that a little more. Last week, I saw the Beasley game coming. This week, I don't see it coming because I don't think they have to press the slot as heavily there. I think that both of their receivers on the outside get open easily. So I'm gonna recommend you go with Josh Jacobs there. All right, Norvell played Tannehill last week over Taysom, and it worked out. Wondering if the matchup changes this. So again, I think Derrick Henry runs the ball very heavily this week. I think he's very successful, but I think they could score a lot of points. They could score well into the 30s, and I think that lends itself to Tannehill probably throwing a couple touchdowns. And the yardage, I don't think is huge. I think Tannehill's going to get you maybe 220, 230, but I think he throws a couple touchdowns, and he's usually good for that, a little bit of rushing yardage as well. So I think that's good there. I am, and I've mentioned this before, I'm a little worried about Taysom's matchup, but I think Tannehill's reasonable enough. Taysom, my thing with him is that Philly defense, it's a good defense. They've been playing really well the last couple of weeks, and I don't know how much room Taysom's going to have to operate. He took advantage of Atlanta twice, but when he played Denver, and I know it was a very weird game because Denver had Hinton at quarterback, but he didn't look good against them. And I think a good defense could expose Taysom Hill pretty easily. I'm in the fantasy playoffs. I think at this point, and I know Taysom's the number 3 quarterback over the last 3 weeks, but against those 2 Atlanta games, I'm in the playoffs right now. I think I got to trust Tannehill there because I know he's got that floor for me. Len, all right, man. Big Benner. Matt, you know what? Matt Ryan's missing his left guard, his right tackle. He's missing Julio. I think Hurst is going to have to block more. I think they're going to have an implosion game potentially on offense. Ben's playing Buffalo, and I know Buffalo does well against the pass game, but the Steelers have so many weapons. I don't think Buffalo is like very well equipped to deal with that level of weaponry. And I think this game shoots out pretty well. I would lean Ben fairly comfortably. I know Matt Ryan always has that big game in his range of outcomes that we didn't see coming. But man, he's been bad a lot this year. And without Julio, that offense is hurt. But again, those 2 linemen down troubles me a lot. So I think I'm going to recommend Big Ben, probably 70% to 30%. Kurt, Dobbins or Jacobs? Yeah. So, you know, it's funny. Cleveland has been really good against the run over the last 5 weeks, even against the pass. Their defense, believe it or not, against fantasy points, they're like near the top. And Dobbins, we don't know week to week how his coach is going to use him. It's troubling because he is so more talented than their other running backs. He should be a stud, getting 20 fantasy points a week. We're not seeing that. Josh Jacobs is going to have the lead role here. I am not worried at all about his matchup. Indy, like I said, Indy's faltered a lot since that cake schedule early in the season. I think Jacobs is – all right, here we're going to have it, Kurt. Jacobs is your safe play. You want those 8 to 12 points, bank it. Dobbins could get you a 4. He could get you an 18 or 20. I believe that. He could break a big run at any time. I think you base your decision on that. If you need safe, it's Jacobs. You need to take the risk floor for upside, then I think you look Dobbins. All right, let's see. You got Conan covered there. Good there. All right. Kevon, need 2. Jonathan Taylor, McKissick, Gallman, or Zeke. I like Zeke's matchup this week. When we're talking about the calf, I want everybody to understand this. It's not a calf strain. It's a contusion. So like a bruise or a bump. So I'm not worried about his status at all. Nothing about the Cincinnati matchup scares me. Zeke looked really good running the ball Monday night against Baltimore. I think Zeke is in good shape here. The line is not good, but I don't think Cincinnati's equipped to take advantage of that. So I like Zeke as a floor play, and he can get into the end zone maybe even twice. There could be a lot of scoring in this game. Look, McKissick, if you're PPR, though, McKissic's going to get 8 to 10 targets. He's been getting that many games, and there's no, he's the lead guy today. So he's going to get you 10 targets. So they don't come safer than McKissic. Gallman, Arizona's been top 3 against fantasy running backs over the last 5 weeks. They've been a good unit there. So I don't like Gallman here. I know he's playing well. I get it. He's done well. I don't like him here. So I think Zeke is a good floor play for you, but he has ceiling too. Now it's Taylor and McKissic. So McKissic is, again, I don't think he goes off, but I think he's safer than Taylor, but Taylor has a lot more upside. Taylor's range could be 6 to 22, whereas McKissic's is probably more like 9 to 15, 9 to 16, something like this. So I think you got to base your decision on that. If you want that added upside with Taylor, then I definitely see that. The matchup's not bad at all. McKissick safer. I am advocating Zeke here because, like I said, he's been running pretty well, especially last week. All right. C. Foz. I hope I said that right. My eyes are looking a little bit here. Gio or Duke. Oh, man. All right. So the Bears haven't been great against running backs, but we've seen Duke struggle, though. There have been games he had 10 carries for 15 yards with David Johnson out. I mentioned earlier, I'm not a big fan of Gio today. In Dallas, they're not good against the run, but I think they can slow Gio down. But I think all things considered, I think Gio ultimately is a better play against Duke. Duke had that touchdown, that real nice touchdown on Thanksgiving, the nice catch, but that hasn't been it. Now, all right, I'll frame it this way. Gio safer. Gio's going to get you 6 to 10 points, probably. I think if he falls in the end zone, he might go a little better than that. I think with Cook's out, we already know Fuller's been out in suspension. I think Duke Johnson could see more pass targets this week. So I think Duke has he could get you 3 points, but I think Duke has a better chance of getting to 15 than Gio does. So Gio is your safe play, get you enough points for like RB2 type, flex type work. Duke is very risky, but he has some upside. So you got to frame it that way. Lucius, Kamara, Thielen, or Taylor. Kamara, last week he broke the long run. We needed that. But he doesn't get targets. It's 2 targets a game with Taysom Hill. And he really has a tough defense this week. We really don't want to consider sitting Alvin Kamara because he's Alvin Kamara. And so that's what the problem is. Now, Thielen, on the other hand, if Tampa Bay gets that blitz scheme back they had early in the season, it could be an implosion game for Cousins. But that said, this game could shoot out heavily. And Thielen has massive upside this week. I think his floor is stable too. So I think Thielen, because of the stable floor, even in a bad game, he's probably going to get you 8 to 10 fantasy points. Now it leaves you with Kamara and Taylor. I really think that of the two, Taylor has the upside. Again, if he doesn't do well, makes a mistake, blows a block, fumbles the ball, he could be benched. So I think your upside play is Taylor. But if you want to make sure you're safe and you lock in, I use this number up, but you 8 to 10 fantasy points, then I think you go with Kamara and you hope he breaks up another long run and pays off beyond it. But I think Taylor is the upside downside play, but I think Kamara is your safe shot. And I think Thielen, you almost have to go with there. All right, what else we got here? All right, Robert, good to see you, man. Cole Kmet or Mark Andrews. Yeah, Mark Andrews. So actually, Cleveland is bad against tight ends. They're one of the bottom 5 lately against tight ends. So this is actually not a bad spot for him. I know he's been very boom or bust, but it's really hard to trust Cole Kmet just yet. He had those targets, like 7 of them last week, and he did get the touchdown. But I think at this point in fantasy playoffs, there's still a world where Cole Kmet comes in and puts up a 0 or a 1, and that is too uncertain to go over Andrews. And again, I know Andrews has had his share of bad games, but I think the matchup Andrews has, I think you almost need to use him here. Now, I would make that recommendation like 80 to 20%. Again, I'm very concerned that Kmet has a really, really low floor. All right, Mingo, Hunt or Heinz. You know what? The Hunt matchup, Baltimore has really fallen off against the run. And Brandon Williams was in last week. They looked bad against Dallas. I think Hunt is going to get in the mix enough here. Heinz worries me because he's seen 33% snap share in each of the last 2 games that Jonathan Taylor played. That worries me. If Taylor continues to play as he has, that snap share will continue. Hunt plays behind, the line. I know Indy has a good line, but man, Cleveland has a line, and they're going to be able to assert their will in this game. I think Hunt is your better play because Heinz has a lot of floor. He has a lot of floor. We don't want to deal with the floor if we don't have to. So that would be my recommendation there. All right. FF Waterboy, appreciate it. All right, let's see what we got here. Lucius, did I get you? I got you already. Drifting Cowboy, Josh Allen or Taysom Hill. I'm concerned about Taysom Hill's matchup here. That game against Denver was weird, but Denver was a decent defense, and they really contained him a lot. I know Hill's been the number 3 quarterback over the last 3 weeks, 2 games against Atlanta in there. That has a lot to do with it. I think Philly is going to make him miserable today. Philly has been playing nasty on defense the last couple of weeks. I don't think Taysom Hill's ready for this one. Josh Allen, I know Pittsburgh has the vaunted defense, but they're down linebackers. Vince Williams on the COVID list. Spillane is out, who replaced Devin Bush. And I know there's a lot of run defense, but that's their blitz package. They blitz their linebackers a lot. And I think that this is going to make a problem for them. And I think also that Josh Allen can extend plays. I think that game shoots out. I think Josh Allen is your play this week. And I'm pretty comfortable with that. Can Hill do something? Yeah, he can break off a run. He can do something. But I really think that this matchup lends itself to Allen pretty comfortably. All right, let's see what we got here. I got Sean already. Yeah, Sean, good to see you, man. I think I answered, but I don't know if I said DFS. All right, Sean, DFS Chief Cole Kmet, 2,600. He got 7 targets last week. He has a lot of downside, but you know that at tight end you're getting that. Tyler Eifert, if he's active, and I didn't get the Jacksonville report. Tyler Eifert's like 3,100, I think. He's seeing like 5 to 6 targets a game over the last 5 weeks. Glennon likes him. If you can afford that a little bit better. Irv Smith he's active. Kyle Rudolph is out. Tampa Bay gives up a lot to opposing tight ends. Irv Smith is 3,100. I would recommend those 2 over Kmet. But if you have to save the money, Kmet's gotten the targets. Houston is not good against tight ends. It's a reasonable play. But I think you have guys with a little more upside there. But and the Bears can attack the corners because Phillip Gaines, the left corner, is out. Bradley Roby, the right corner, was suspended a couple of weeks ago. Allen Robinson should have a ton of room to operate here. I don't know if they need to throw to the tight end so much here. So that's why I figured that one. Robert, Swift or Jacob. You know what? If Swift is playing, this is a smash spot. Green Bay can't stop running backs. And the beauty is Green Bay races out to a big lead. Swift's a dynamic receiver. I think he's game script proof. Josh Jacobs, the ankle's okay. I think he's good. And Indy's fallen against the run, as I said, over the last 5 weeks. But at the end of the day, Deandre Swift catches passes. He's a great player. And I like him here. I think he's game script proof. I think Green Bay is horrible against the run, like the second worst team. I go with Swift here, and honestly, I don't know how close it is because Jacobs hasn't really blown us away this year either. All right, let's see what we got here. Conan, a couple of my favorite player props. Oh man, you know what? I've had a family issue this week. I haven't had a ton of time to go on the props. You know what? I can open. I do actually have my sheet from the show yesterday. Hang on, let me open that up. And I'll take another question. I did go over that on the RotoWire show yesterday, so I haven't even got the bet props today. I've been so busy, which I'm hoping to do so. Here, these are props I like. Amari Cooper over 57.5 yards. I think William Jackson is not an impediment to him. That since he gets no pass rush, Cooper gets about 8+ targets a game. He's clearly the number one. Love David Montgomery over 67.5 yards. Houston allows the second most fantasy points to running backs, which translates to yardage. And Montgomery's hit that yardage total in 3 of the last 4. Best one, I think, maybe all day, though. Curtis Samuel over 60.5 receiving yards. No DJ Moore. Their secondary injuries. Both cornerbacks are out, the top 2 cornerbacks that they're facing. I think 60.5 yards is not a problem. And he's hit that number frequently in the last 5. So probably the biggest conviction play is Curtis Samuel. That's the biggest conviction one. Derrick Henry over 107.5 yards. He had 84 against them last time, Jacksonville in week 2. Most of that front 7 is on IR since then. I think that Henry runs it down their throats today. I think that's a second highest conviction one. Like I said, I like the Cooper one. Tim Patrick, this is less conviction because we're counting on factors. Tim Patrick over 49.5 yards. Basically, he needs one long catch and he could hit that. If you could trust Jonathan Taylor to stay on the field, 52.5 yards should be done in his sleep in this game, as long as he doesn't fumble or do something stupid. And again, there's a little bit of risk here, but Mike Williams over 45.5 yards. The Atlanta corners can't cover. Their free safety, who Ricardo Allen over the top doubling, he's out. And so Mike Williams in a great spot. But the best conviction plays of the day, Curtis Samuel over 60.5. And Derrick Henry over 107. Those are the highest conviction ones. Good question there. All right. Let's see here. All right. Norvell, Gaskin out, need a flex. Geo, CH, Debo, or Tim Patrick. You know what? Debo Samuel is immune to cornerback play. The way the 49ers, they drafted him and Ayuk for specific reasons. They get them the ball before the cornerback coverage even engages. They get them underneath the coverage. They get them schemed into space after the catch. So I think Debo Samuel is not just your great floor play, but he also builds in ceiling, and they use him as a staple of the offense. And so, although I like Clyde Edwards-Helaire in this game, Debo is just so darn safe with ceiling. I mean, the odds of him seeing less than 9 targets are small. And so I think that's the way we look here. And because Washington's a good secondary, but again, the way they run their receivers, it doesn't matter because they're deployed so perfectly. That's why I would roll with that. All right, Len, Miles Sanders like a bad play. Yeah, there was one silver lining, narrative-based. When you get a mobile quarterback, it opens up some really weird running lanes for people. And so Jalen Hurts could open up some very, very odd running lanes. And so that's something to consider. He could break a long run on misdirection, and that's something we need to consider. Now, Jamal Williams, he gets about half of the snaps. They are playing Detroit, and they are the worst run defense. They're there with Green Bay and Houston. They're all right in that little 3-team mix at the bottom of horrendous run defenses. So Jamal Williams certainly could do damage here. There's always risk, though. There's risk that, he may not get leverage touches. And Sanders is risky too. He's played about 60% of the snaps, which is not much more than Jamal Williams. The matchup's a lot worse. If I'm in the fantasy playoffs and I have both are risky. Sanders has the better chance of breaking a big play. And I know he hasn't lately. I would say 55% Sanders, 45% Jamal Williams, because again, that mobile quarterback factor is something that often leads itself to a big play. A tough call for you, Len. If you have a gut feel, trust your gut. Matt, good to see you. All right. Yeah, I miss seeing you as well, man. Swift and PPR, you know what? Must play, because realistically, Green Bay is horrible against the run. But if Green Bay runs out to a big lead, Swift's a great pass catcher. They could be Adrian Peterson at that point. It's going to be more Swift. So Swift is almost game script proof at this point. And in either scenario, he should shred the Packers defense. And he is an insanely talented player too. So that's my point on him. He's a must play this week, I think. There are very few players I would put ahead of him. All right. Chad Hansen or Sterling Shepard. So Chad Hansen's going to draw the short straw this week. He's going to be on the outside. There's no Brandon Cooks. He's either going to draw the rookie Jalen Johnson, who, you know what, he may not be great, but he is going to probably dominate Chad Hansen. And if he's on the other side, he sees Fuller, and Fuller's like a legit shutdown corner. So Sterling Shepard is going to get targets. That's the one thing we say about him. 6 to 8 targets. Pretty good. Hansen's been around the league for a while. He's bounced around a lot of teams. He had the great game last week. But I'm very concerned that the Bears corners are way better than his talent level. And so is there a chance he has another game? Yes. Sterling Shepard is safer. Not a lot of upside in Shepard, but Hansen has like a floor of 2. I think there's a floor of 2 there. I don't know that he'll hit that. I can't bank on upside against the corners he'll face. So that's why I'm going to say Shepard here. All right, let's see. Roman, you got a tough one. I know we all do this week, man. It's not easy. Dobbins or Washington? Yes. Or put them both and take out Curtis Samuel. No, I love Curtis Samuel this week. Curtis Samuel has been getting a lot of touches. DJ Moore is out. Both corners for Denver are out. Bouye was suspended. Callahan's been on the IR for a while. Curtis Samuel's been really good this year, especially, the last 6 weeks, and they're going to utilize it. He's going to get the ball. Whether it's a runner or it's a receiver, he's going to get a lot of touches. They're coming out of a bye, too. And I imagine the things that they worked on and improved are going to get even better. Now, here's your choice with Dobbins and Washington. Washington is going to get you somewhere in the neighborhood of 10-ish points, a little lower, a little more. He is pretty safe. He's going to get some catches. He's going to get some rushes. He'll do well. Dobbins is your upside guy. Dobbins has floor. Sometimes he sees 30% of the touches, sometimes 40. There was a game he saw even more, but it's so week to week. And we count on him breaking that big play, and he can. Dobbins is an elite, talented player who's not being used well by his coaching staff. So what I'll tell you is you need safety in your lineup this week. You go with Washington. If you need to risk some floor for bigger upside, Dobbins could always break that long run that really Deandre Washington doesn't typically have in the tank. So that's kind of how I point that out for you. Stephon Diggs or Chubb. Wow, it's to come down to have to choose between those two. That's tough. That's tough. Joe Hayden is out, the left cornerback for Pittsburgh. Diggs plays all over the formation. He plays left, slot, and right, all over. But when he goes on the Hayden side, who's Hayden out, that's a big advantage. The other two, they're decent at the other two. You're welcome, Roman. But it's Nick Chubb. And you know what? Baltimore has faltered against the run. They're not what they were. They are not looking good lately. Zeke Elliott ran down their throats last week. I was stunned if he had 50 yards. He had that in halftime. So I'm going to say Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb could have a massive game here. And I know it's Baltimore, but they're not the team they were. I'm going to say Chubb is your play here. And can Diggs go off? Yes, Diggs can go off. They both can go off. I think Chubb is safer, and they both have similar upside, but I think Chubb is safer. Pittsburgh could make it a point to try to take Diggs out. They won't take him out, but they could limit him. They could see him as the mark with John Brown out. So I'd go with Chubb. All right, Riley. All right. Good luck. Good luck, everybody, obviously. All right, let's see. Robert, better DFS. Aaron Jones or spend up for Harry's winter run. You know what? Aaron Jones had 44 fantasy points against Detroit last time, so we know that's in his range of outcomes, right? So that gets us thinking, and we know he had that type of game, but he plays half the snaps. Derrick Henry has had games where he's played that, but in the games in the last month, he's had more games near 70% than he's had near 50. And I know he doesn't catch passes, so we got to look at that too. To me, this looks like one of those Henry smash spots. This looks like we can get 150 yards and 2 touchdowns. But if you're in it, so ownership would mean a lot. And I don't know the ownership numbers. I would play the guy who was less owned because they both have massive, massive ceiling. And I don't think Henry has a floor this week. Jones always has a floor because they don't throw him the ball and he doesn't break a long run. But they're both – so you're saving money with Jones. So if the construct of the rest of your lineup is better with the cheaper running back, then you go with Jones. Significant savings there. It's a tough call, man. It's a tough call. But it's got to look at the rest of your lineup. They both have merits. I love them both this week. Personally, I chose Henry. I'm going the Henry route in my lineups. That's the route I'm going. But it was scary to say no to Aaron Jones. Devontae Adams got hurt in that game where he had the 44 points. So that may have something to do with it too. And they throw in the red zone a lot. I'm going to say Henry here. Johnny Football. All right, man. Glad you're here. CD, Pittman, or Couté, need one. So Couté's in a good spot here. The Bears corner, slot corner, who isn't good. Buster Screen, he's out. So now Couté, who plays mostly slot, they're not moving him to the outside. He's not an outside receiver. He's a slot guy. So they may let Coulter play, who was deactivated last week, and Hansen on the outsides. But I think that Couté is going to draw a lot of targets here. And with bad cornerback play against him, he's in a good spot. Now, that said, CD Lamb is facing, and I'm not, the inactive reports weren't all fine last one coming through. Mackenzie Alexander, who's a slot corner in Cincinnati, he was questionable. Whether he's playing or not, he's not 100%. And I don't think Andy Dalton sees much pressure. Now, Dalton could spread the ball around here, but Lamb typically gets targets. So because we know CD Lamb is an elite player who can get a lot of run after the catch, I think CD Lamb is your safe play, and I think he gives you appropriate upside. Although I like Couté, if my season's on the line, I think I'm going to ride CD Lamb, who I know is going to get an opportunity, whereas opposed to Couté, who had the great week last week, but not really sure what I'm getting out of him. If you have a gut call on the two, you go with it. Pittman, I love Pittman, but his targets have been all over the place, and Hilton all of a sudden turned into 2017 Hilton last week. And so, again, I probably trust Lamb the most, but I could totally make that case for Couté as I love him this week as well. But Pittman, the recent usage scares me. All right, let me move over to this side, over to the RotoWire YouTube page. Ryan, all right, you need to start 3. Ridley, Deontay, Allen Robinson, Godwin, and Thielen. Yes, you do have a problem here. All right, Allen Robinson, you know what? I got to say you got to roll with him because left corner Phillip Gaines is out. Right cornerback Bradley Roby was suspended. So even if they move Robinson around, Houston does not have a corner to answer to him at all. They don't get a pass rush. So I think A-Rob has to be in there. The stars align too well for him. Godwin had the pin taken out of his finger, missing practice. I'm supposed to be fine. He's on 9 targets in the last game. The matchup is not a problem at all. It's just to where Brady's going to throw the ball. Calvin Ridley's Calvin Ridley, but I don't really like his matchup so much here. With Julio out, the defense is approaches them completely differently. And I'm just looking at something very quickly. I imagine Casey Hayward is going to spend much of the day, and if it's not him, it's Chris Harris on Ridley. And I don't know if Ridley takes care of that. Also, Atlanta's down 2 linemen. Their right tackle and their left guard are out. That's less. Joey Bosa is going to wreck them today. So go with your gut here. And I know start sitting Ridley is probably not what you're thinking. But if I'm playing, I'm going Robinson for sure. Deontay is a safe floor because he gets double-digit targets in every game he starts officially. He's a floor guy. Godwin is getting enough targets, so I put him in. But Thielen, if Tampa Bay fixed their pass rush and their blitz over the bye, this could be a really bad game. But I think Thielen has a floor and a ceiling. So I'm going to frame it this way. Robinson for sure. Thielen for sure. And then between Deontay and Godwin, I'm going to go this way. If you need the absolute guaranteed floor, it's Deontay. Godwin could have a really big game here. So if you want your third spot, if you want to go with the ceiling, I'm going to say Godwin. I'm not playing Ridley. It could come back to bite us. But I really think that the issues that Atlanta has, I don't think he's overcoming them. Good luck with that. That's not an easy decision. William, full PPR flex, Zeke, Jarvis, Marvin Jr. Zeke is the safest. Jarvis has got double-digit targets last 2 games. He's going to see a lot of Marlon Humphrey, which is not great, but he's still busy, which helps. Zeke ran really well last week. Nothing scary about his matchup here. So I like Zeke as a floor play. Marvin Jones, 12 targets each of the last 2 games, plays a lot of slots, so he'll avoid Jair Alexander a lot. He probably sees a lot of targets here, but I think Zeke is your safest play. I don't know that Zeke has the enormous upside. Now, not that Marvin Jones has enormous upside either, and the Packers are really good against the pass. I think I'm taking the safety of Zeke, and there's a good chance he scores a touchdown. I'm gonna advocate for Zeke here. Understanding Jarvis has Marlon Humphrey on him. That's what kind of makes me think a little bit of nerves. Ravens D or Panthers D? I would start the Panthers D. It's tough because they don't get a pass rush, but they're good against the run, and Drew Lock can make some mistakes. The reason I'm worried about Baltimore is Cleveland can run the ball down your throats, and Baker Mayfield may not have a chance to make many mistakes. And that's what concerns me there. And Baltimore's pass rush has faltered recently. It's not an easy call here. I think I go with the Panthers because of the probability of Locke making errors. I think, like I said, I think Mayfield's being put in a good situation here. All right, Mike Evans or Jefferson? I love Mike Evans this week. And now Brady can go to anybody he wants in this game. But I think Evans is going to get his targets. I think he is going to have a big game. Now, how do you sit Justin Jefferson, right? And the whole thing here is if Tampa gets the pass rush, then Jefferson doesn't always get heavy targets. There's weeks he disappears in the target column. There's weeks he gets great targets. Mike Evans is a priority for the offense. It's super, super close, and they both have upside here. Now, Jefferson can score 30 fantasy points. Evans can't do that. So shoot for the moon upside is Jefferson. Evans is more likely to score 20 points. So I would lean Evans here. But if you have a gut feel, you got to go with that gut feel there. All right, Sean, top 3 DFS defense. Let me check my show sheet from yesterday. I had a high priced. You know what? If you want to really save money, I love the Philly defense at 2,200 this week. And it's kind of funny because, we know what they are, but they were playing well. And I think Taysom Hill could be exposed in this game. Now, 2,900, The Bucs, if they fix their blitz over the bye week, which I think they may have, we could see an implosion game out of Adam Thielen. They stop the run always. So they're a mid-price. You want to spend up? The Seahawks blitz a lot. Jamal Adams' revenge game. He's going to be in Mr. Darnold's face today. And I think the Chiefs. Hold on. No. Back that off. I like the Chiefs so expensive. I'm sorry. Not Seahawks. I like the Chiefs here. Chiefs at 3,500. I think against Tua, I think Tua's going to struggle against them. But that's a spend up. The spend down is the Eagles, 2,200. I love the Eagles. Love the Eagles. And that's who I would use. I would spend down at 2,200, spend elsewhere. All right, let's see what else we got here. Johnny, McKissick, Moss, Patterson. You know what? You have to go safety here. McKissick gets double-digit targets almost every game he plays, and he's the number one running back this week. He's going to get targets. It's going to happen. Moss probably gets back after being benched because of the fumble last week. Patterson, very hard to trust him. He's done decently, but I think McKissick, because of that touch volume, I think we got to go with him. Hayden Hurst or Mark Andrews. So Atlanta's down 2 linemen. Their right tackle and their left guard are out. They're missing Julio. I think Hayden's going to block a lot today. So I'm going to go with Mark Andrews, and Cleveland gives it up against tight ends a lot. All right, let's see what else we got here. Salim, it looks like. Definitely start Ridley. Julio is out. That's fine. Absolutely. Whatever you feel, whatever you feel, man. There are no wrong answers here. I see the name Devin there. First name I can't pronounce. I'm sorry. Pick 3: Mike Evans, Godwin, Robbie Anderson, Ridley, or Landry. Again, I love Mike Evans this week. He and Godwin both had 9 targets in the last game. Robbie Anderson should see a lot of targets this week. No DJ Moore. He should be nearly 10 targets. I think Anderson's pretty safe this week because I really don't worry about Minnesota's corners at all. I think Mike Evans is a great play. Landry's going to see a lot of Marlon Humphrey in the slot, a great corner, and I think that could slow him down a bit. And that gives me. I love the recent target volume. I mentioned earlier, Calvin Ridley, he's going to see a lot of Casey Hayward. Casey Hayward's off the injury report this week. Casey Hayward's a top 5 corner in the league, in my opinion. And with the offensive lineman out for Atlanta, I think Joey Bosa is going to wreck them. And I think there's going to be no time for Matt Ryan to throw downfield. And so based on that, if Ridley can't get downfield looks, that really worries me. If you have a gut feel, sitting Calvin Ridley is something that you may not consider. And so if you don't, then don't go against that. Trust your gut there. But I don't think this is a good game for Calvin Ridley here at all. So I would go with Evans, Anderson, and I'd go with Godwin as well. All right. See what else we got here. Oh, it's 11:33. I got to finish these questions. I got to go eat some lunch before kickoff here. All right. Scott, Russ or Rodgers? Can't go wrong here. Can't go wrong here. You know what? Rodgers is safer. The way Russ is played, Rodgers is safer. If I'm Pete Carroll, which I'm not, and Pete Carroll's not always rational, I'm turning Russ loose against the Jets because they can't stop the pass. Their free safeties out. So over the top, they're going to have fun if they choose to do that. But also, they have some linebacker issues, so Chris Carson could go off here. Rodgers is safer. Rodgers is safer. So if you're playing your fantasy season on the line, I think you're going safer with Rodgers. I think Russ has a ton of upside, but Aaron Rodgers does too. So I think the safety of Rodgers, based on the way Russ has played lately, is the way to go. Johnny, football, Washington defense or Arizona defense? Yes, Danny Dimes is a turnover machine, and I would definitely be glad to go against him anytime possible. So I definitely think the Arizona defense, they blitz a lot too, and he can't move. The hamstring, he's not going to be able to move. There's no mobility, and that's going to make problem. Michael, I need to know if that's Debo or Curtis Samuel, so you're going to need to post that for me so I can give you some advice on that. Julius, all right, man. Andrews or Hockenson? Hawkinson's going to see a lot of targets here. He's been very safe. He's been very safe in almost every game this season. They're probably going to trail. They're probably going to have to throw. Still no Kenny Golladay. Andrews has been very, very up and down, coming off of some missed time. If you have a gut feel, go. But I think Hawkinson's safer, and I think he has nearly equivalent upside to Andrews. Andrews had a couple big games, but he's been mostly down this year. Hawkinson's had a pretty firm role in the offense. I think I'm just going to playoffs. I think I got to go with the safe, trusted option. All right, what do I think is the best football team in the world? I'm sorry, I don't. That's soccer. You're gonna have to tell me that. I'll trust your word on it. Tyler Lockett or Adam Thielen? You know what? I love Tyler Lockett this week, but Adam Thielen's been playing at a very high level. They both get targets. Lockett hasn't had a good game since that 200-yard game. I just think you got to go on the recent history here, and I do love Lockett. The free safety is out for the Jets. I think he could have a massive game, but we've seen him in smash spots not do anything recently, and that troubles me. Whereas Adam Thielen's been money. Now, if that Tampa Bay pass rush gets home, it could be a bad game for Kirk Cousins. But it's just been too many bad games in a row for Lockett. And I love them both, but I see the downside for both. And so it's really one of those coin flip ones. I think Thielen has a more secure role in the red zone than Lockett does. So that makes Thielen a little safer because he will get those looks there. And that's absolutely huge. So that's kind of what I'm thinking there. But it's a phenomenal situation to have. All right, Deb, you're very welcome. Taysom Hill or Melvin Gordon. So I don't like Hill's matchup, but Hill's going to get some rushing yards. That's going to happen. He's been productive. When he played Denver a couple of weeks ago, not so good. When he played Atlanta twice, he killed them. I think having a quarterback in there, that gives you a lot of ability. Melvin Gordon isn't exactly a smash player. And Carolina, surprisingly, has been good against the run. So I'm going to go with Taysom Hill because Gordon's matchup is not absolutely great here. All right, the last couple questions. Anything that's cute, I'm going to take, and then I'm going to go off and eat some lunch here. All right. Standard league need 2 running back and a flex. Dobbins, Duke, Singletary, Deandre Washington, Juju. All right, so Deandre Washington is pretty safe this week. So I think he's a great opportunity player here. Kansas City's not very good against the run. Washington can catch and run. Juju has a pretty secure role in the offense. So I think there he is safe as well, leaving us with 3. Look, Duke Johnson, he may get more involvement, but we've seen him in great spots, and he is like soiled the bed. So I'm worried about him. Singletary probably goes back to the 45% snap share he had in the prior 5 weeks before Zach Moss fumbled on the first drive and only played, then Singletary at 85% of the snaps. That's not the way that backfield's run. So I think I'm going to go with Dobbins as the third wheel there. Johnny Goodman, Miles Sanders, Melvin Gordon, Ronald Jones need 2. Melvin Gordon, I don't trust so much here. Last week he had a great matchup. Carolina's been very stingy against the run. I think he's the one I'm sitting there. Norvell, standard flex. CEH is here. Did I answer that one already? Let me go down. These are all old questions. I'm trying to make sure I didn't. Let me go from the bottom up here. Justin Jefferson today, a boomer bust. Boomer bust. There are games he gets 4 targets. There are games he gets 12 targets. It goes absolutely nuclear. And if Tampa Bay gets their blitz fixed, it's a problem for him because Cousins needs time to throw. So volatile, but there aren't many players who are starting over him. Seattle minus 15. Seattle always plays crazy games. They never play a normal game. And that always worries me. And, the Jets have been scoring points. So I don't know. 100 messages at Restream chat. Oh, nice. All right, let's see what else we got here. Baltimore, Carolina defense. I may have asked that earlier. Wow. I had the same one. Carolina doesn't get much of a pass rush, but they're facing Drew Lock. I like them. Baltimore's defense is not the same as they've been, and I think that the Browns run the ball very well. They don't put Baker in a position to throw, so I like him there. A.J. Brown, Lockett, or Corey Davis. So Corey Davis had the big game last week because Brown turned his ankle, and he also had the favorable cornerback matchup. I think this is a Derrick Henry game. So I think A.J. Brown's going to get his targets. You know what? A.J. Brown has such a great floor. That's why you start him. He has ceiling that's equal with anybody in the league, but he has a better floor. And so I'm going to say A.J. Brown because of that floor is just impossible. Lockett's inconsistent. Davis inconsistent. But we know Brown's going to get his. Mostert or Jacobs. Go Cardinals. Nice. Cam. All right. You know what? Mostert 40 and 40% snap share the last 2 weeks, but I really think that outside zone run is going to work very well against his opponent, the Washington football team. So I think Mostert has a big play or 2 in him today, whereas Jacobs has been very inconsistent, and his matchup is better than we think because Indy has slid against the run. But I do think that at the end of the day, Mostert – so Jacobs for floor. You want the 10 points, bank it, Jacobs. You want to take the chance for some upside, but risk some floor underneath, then Mostert's your guy. Yeah, I think you got to frame it that way when you're making your decision. All right. Hey, Kurt, thanks for coming, man. All right, let's see here. Bars in the dark, afternoon. All right, let's see, afternoon. Gibson out, Akers on your bench. Oh, Gaskin, COVID, ouch. DeAndre, Lindsey. You know what? I like DeAndre Washington this week. Casey's not good against the run. Washington is a versatile back. He can run, he can catch. So I think he's in a good spot here. I like him there. Pittman, I always loved Michael Pittman, but all of a sudden they started targeting T.Y. Hilton like it was 2017. So that's my nerves there. All right, let me go back to the other side here. Let's see here. All right, got that one already. Derek, let's see your biggest upside at flex. You know what? Devontae Parker has the problem of Tua Tagovailoa. I think T. Higgins, even though he's coming in with a hamstring injury, he has the best upside. I think that because of the Dallas corners, he can get some after the catch going. So I think the biggest upside is T. Higgins there. Jay wants Kuti, Swift, Mike Davis, Marvin Jones, PPR flex spot. DeAndre Swift, I think, is in a smash spot here. I think he is an elite play this week, so I definitely go that way with him. Message retracted. All right. Steelers or Seahawks defense. You know what? I understand the Steelers don't have a great matchup, but they blitz, they bring pressure, they cause problems. The Seahawks will get some sacks. They definitely will, and they're playing the Jets. But at the end of the day, the Seahawks don't seem to be making a lot of those big plays, whereas the Steelers get these pick sixes out of nowhere. And Josh Allen is the guy who could make some big mistakes. I'm going to roll with the team that's just the overall, more aggressive unit. I know they both blitz a lot. I'm going to go with Pittsburgh there. Ryan or Josh Allen? This could be an implosion spot for Ryan. I love Josh Allen here. I guess I just saw with the Steelers defense, but he's still going to put up points. Peyton Barber, Devin Singletary, or DeAndre Washington. All right, Singletary at 85% snap share. It's because Moss fumbled on the first drive. Moss outsnapped him in the prior 3 or 4 games. DeAndre Washington's in a good, safe, secure spot against a good defense. I'm going to roll with him. RotoWire, YouTube, I'm out. Good luck, everybody. And I'm going to